U.S. Army patches, U.S. Army Field Artillery. I'll go through and name each one of them for reference. U.S. Army Missile Command. These patches were worn from 61 to 78. The first Missile Command tab was worn until 65. The second Missile Command tab, 62. The third Missile Command tab, 63. And the fourth, 1978. Get you a better look. 17th Field Artillery Brigade, Fort Lewis, Washington. 18th Field Artillery Brigade, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. 41st Field Artillery Brigade, formerly the 41st Fires Brigade. I'll go through and point out if the brigade was formerly a Fires Brigade. Rather than repeat the number, I'll just say Fires Brigade. In 2015, this unit was made part of the 1st Cav, so the patch was deflagged, I think is the term, and everyone now wears 1st Cav patch. 42nd Field Artillery Brigade, 45th Field Artillery Brigade, Oklahoma National Guard. 54th Field Artillery Brigade, Virginia National Guard. 54th Field Artillery Brigade Command with Pershing tab. 57th Field Artillery Brigade, which became the 157th Maneuver Enhancement Brigade. 65th Field Artillery Brigade, Utah National Guard. Now you can see I have the variation of this patch. It has the darker border around the dice and no bullseye in the center. 72nd Field Artillery Brigade, Training Support. 75th Field Artillery Brigade, Fort Sill, Oklahoma. 103rd Field Artillery Brigade, Rhode Island National Guard. 115th Field Artillery Brigade, Wyoming National Guard, formerly the Fires Brigade. And this patch was changed over from this one in June of 1988. So this would be the older, or the first patch. 113th Field Artillery Brigade, 118th Field Artillery Brigade, Georgia National Guard. 130th Field Artillery Brigade, Kansas National Guard. Notice the sunflower in the center. This is also formerly a Fires Brigade. 135th Field Artillery Brigade, Missouri National Guard. 138th Field Artillery Brigade, Kentucky National Guard. 142nd Field Artillery Brigade, formerly Fires Brigade. 151st Field Artillery Brigade, South Carolina National Guard. 153rd Field Artillery Brigade, Arizona National Guard. 169th Field Artillery Brigade, Colorado National Guard. Notice the mountains in the patch represent Colorado. And then the Bushmaster snake, which was used in the other infantry and in the past, the Regimental Combat Team patch. 196th Field Artillery Brigade, Tennessee National Guard. 197th Field Artillery Brigade, New Hampshire National Guard, was the 197th Fires Brigade. 209th Field Artillery Brigade, New York National Guard. 210th Field Artillery Brigade, was formerly a Fires Brigade. Reflagged July 2010 to Division Artillery. Now these guys wear the 2nd Infantry Division patch. 212th Field Artillery Brigade. This patch was reflagged to Division Artillery. Now it's 1st Armored Division patch that these guys wear. 214th Field Artillery Brigade, Reflagged to Division Artillery, 4th Infantry Division, October 2010. 224th Field Artillery Brigade, Virginia National Guard. 227th Field Artillery Brigade, Florida National Guard. Notice the alligator. 402nd Field Artillery Brigade, training support. These guys were the 1st Army patch since 2015. 428th Field Artillery Brigade, it's now training support. 434th Field Artillery Brigade, Oklahoma National Guard, Fort Sill, Oklahoma, training support. 479th Field Artillery Brigade, 2015, this is reflagged, and then now they wear the 1st Army patch. 631st Field Artillery Brigade, Mississippi National Guard. I hope the video gives you some ideas about displaying your patches, how to organize them and figure out what's what. Thanks for watching. Mesa, Arizona.